Hey there, welcome to DIY More or Less, where we simplify the complicated and in the process, sometimes save you hundreds of bucks. Today, in my hand, this looks like a dead stick, right? What if I told you that in my hand I'm holding a new fruit tree? And in fact, in as little as 60 days or less, this humble little stick is going to grow its own root system, and with the proper care and stick-it-to-ism. Anyone? Anyone? Thank you. This little stick is going to grow into a productive fruit tree, producing your favorite goodies for years to come. In the next few minutes, I'm going to show you step by step what to do and what not to do without a greenhouse, any fancy equipment, and, mind you, at a fraction of the cost of purchasing a new fruit tree. This skill isn't new. As a matter of fact, it's been around for a long time. A technique that will allow you to substantially multiply your own existing fruit trees. And if you desire, start yourself a little side hustle growing starter fruit trees for your friends and neighbors. Interested? Stay tuned. We're about ready to get into it. What I did in advance of starting to cut these cuttings, cut off an 8-inch, the tip of one of the branches. This is actually kind of dried out. This wasn't any good anyway. So anyway, I cut about 8 inches off of that, and I'm going to use that as kind of my cutting guide. I'm going to be looking for 3 to 5 of these nodes in each of these cutting sections. You don't have to do this. You can just eyeball it. Just sharing a trick of the trade if you want to make this easy and have all of your cuttings consistently the same length. Well, let's get started. It's kind of high noon or a little bit afternoon, so hopefully that sun isn't too bright for you to see. It is in the background, so my apologies. So here's our 8-inch, kind of our template stick. And the goal here is for your cuts at the top to be about a 1/2 inch above the node, and for the bottom cut to be right below a node, so you can kind of adjust that accordingly. You want an angle cut at the top and a flat cut at the bottom, so I'll adjust that accordingly, and I'll probably use the bottom. And the reason for doing that is so you can differentiate between what is the top and the bottom of your cuttings, because that will make a difference when you're putting these in the soil. So that's nice and straight. That's a good example. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So that's got plenty of nodes. So let's keep up. And I'm going to go ahead and cut these off because we don't need them. Although I have known people that will keep those, I'm just going to toss those to the side, and then I can use this fresh cutting. And now I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go ahead and throw a top cut on that, and then come down here and put a flat cut right there. We've got plenty of nodes. So again, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then that branch, which is actually a node, and then another node. So we're good. So I'm going to keep doing this down this and down this limb here. These are the perfect size. They're about pencil size, and pencil size or larger are the ones that are ideal for propagating. As I recall, that's what's worked well for me in the past. Just a quick look at the soil we'll be using to propagate the mulberry branches. It's just a combination of sand and garden soil. That's at least what I'm using. I'm going to try and make sure that the soil is a little more porous. That's why I added in the sand. That's nothing more than play sand. You get it at your big box, as well as garden soil. Now I got organic. I kind of fall victim to trying to get everything organic. Is it really organic? I mean, beats me. I guess I'm a sucker for the marketing. But anyway, so I just mixed it in. It was probably a mix ratio of about 1/4 the sand to 3/4, and I'm going to say bucket. Use your whatever bucket is. It doesn't have to be exact, but this will give you a general idea. And it's just, again, enough sand in there to keep that soil nice and porous. I think the garden soil is going to be porous enough, but I'm just taking one extra strip to make sure we get good soil and that it doesn't get too wet, because that's definitely going to create root rot. So there you go, quick look. So we've made it to the workshop desk. I have finished with my cuttings, and so it is now time to get these into the pots. So I've gone ahead and filled several pots. There is one a little bit different. This is a see-through, and I'm going to use this so I can spot the roots when they start growing. Again, 4 weeks. So as long as we keep this moist, and you're going to find, now this sand mixture with the garden soil, this is going to drain really fast. Also, these will not be kept out in the direct sun. Indirect sun, but you do want them outside if your temperatures will allow. I would imagine anything above 40, 45 should be fine. Sunshine will be great for these. So anyways, 4 weeks, we expect to see some rooting. That's why I want to see the rooting. Once I know they're rooting here, then they're most likely rooting in all of these. These, on the other hand, will disintegrate once they are placed in the ground. So I'm going to start them in here. I won't have to remove the cutting after it roots. I'll just take this and put it directly in the ground, and this will eventually dissolve into the ground. And bada bing, bada boom. I didn't have to mess with the roots. So that's what makes these exceptionally useful. Once you have several pots ready, then you're ready to prepare your cutting. And the first thing you want to do is take off that lower cutting. I'm actually going to take off the bark all the way down to the cambium, and let's do that a little. There you go. So you can see, hopefully you can see, this is where you're going to get the rooting from, is right there. And this is right below the bark. So I'm going to do that on 2 sides. Now, I'm not going to necessarily do that on 2 sides for all of them. I'm going to kind of experiment and see what works the best. So there we go. That's another good cut. If you're using a box cutter like I am, you want to make sure you put in a new blade. Now, that's pretty deep. But, all right, so you got that, and it's ready for your growth hormone. Not your Stella, probably stunt their growth. This is a growth hormone, and you simply just dip the area that you just recently exposed, knock off the excess. Then I've got a dowel rod here that's thicker than these, and I just create a hole all the way down to the bottom, and that's just so you don't knock off that growth hormone. Put it in, and then collapse the sides around your cutting. And that's pretty much it. If you want to add a little bit more dirt, that's fine as well. That's it. You can set that off to the side. The other thing we have in favor for these mulberries, obviously, they are a native tree to Texas, and they grow exceedingly well in this state due to our growing conditions. So there you have it. After finishing propagating all of the cuttings into their pots, I placed them in a container so they were portable, watered them into their new pots, and then set them outside in partial shade. The idea is to maintain them in an outdoor environment, monitoring to ensure they're not placed in a location that will receive more than 4 to 5 hours of direct sun each day. Important also is to keep an eye on the temperatures, so if they drop below 40, bring them inside. I'm in Northeast Texas, so our springs are early here, and I started this process in late February. Your watering schedule should be daily for the first several weeks, but don't soak them. Just keep the soil moist, or you'll run the risk of drowning your cuttings. That's it. I had 100% rooting for all my cuttings after 60 days. I hope by following these easy steps, you'll enjoy the same level of success. The only other ingredient you'll need is patience. Let the miracle of propagation do the rest. If you like this video, please take a quick sec to click the thumbs up and hit the subscribe button. We'd greatly appreciate it.